Hunter Biden a large sum of money to be on the board for it's. Yeah, I don't know, man. Imagine if that some fucking, some Japanese, financial tech firm all of a sudden chose to put me on the board of directors. I have
Yeah.
no experience in that field. Why would they just pick me out of? No, they wouldn't, obviously. They only
Right.
would unless I had something else of value to them outside of like the normal job function someone in that role would have. So yes, they're corrupt. It's not a fucking conspiracy. It's right there in your
Right.
face. It's just a matter of fucking going after them and doing something about it.
And there's definitely a darker side too, because there's a lot of people that won't come out against the FBI. There's a lot of politicians that fall in line. So they're definitely using their own means against members of Congress, their
Yeah.
own to the FBI's
Again,
tools.
like I tell Garrett all the time, it's just competing factions of bad guys. There's rarely ever a good guy in this realm. And, so like, I don't like to say, oh, well, these guys, they're the good guys in government.
Finally, we found the good guys.
Right. Yeah. I'm very skeptical of that. Let's shift gears real quick. Forgot to mention this before. We were going to talk about the firearms policy coalition. This will be a quick advertisement, I guess you could say, in a way. But this is also kind of we're trying to protect you guys. So my advice to you would be, if you have a rifle with a pistol brace on it, you are going to want to join the FPC immediately, right? Because you might be well aware the ATF, another corrupt three-letter unaccountable agency, made a rule essentially saying if you have a pistol brace on your rifle, you are a criminal in a sense. And you have like a few ways. You have to either register it with them, change the barrel, destroy it, all these things. But essentially, it's an infringement on your Second Amendment rights. It's a way to make a lot of people criminals, and it's a way to really just take away a technicality that a lot of people have found to have like a semi-automatic AR-15 style rifle legally.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have been like, okay, well, people have like, people and manufacturers have figured out we can do this to give you an AR-15 that's semi-automatic. We're just going to like make up a rule ourselves that makes it illegal to get rid of it. So if you have one, I'm not saying anything's going to happen to you. I don't know what kind of resources the ATF actually have, how they would even, carry out going after everyone for this. But you want to go to joinfpc.org. All it takes is a $20 donation to the Firearms Policy Coalition, and you will be covered by an injunction that they have gotten in court, where they're basically suing and going after the ATF, saying it's an illegal and constitutional rule. And the judge has given them an injunction which protects anyone who is actually a member of the Firearms Policy Coalition. Now, it's not going to just stop here. The Firearms Policy Coalition is going to continue fighting and trying to get this completely overturned for everyone, not just anybody and their members. But for now, that's not bad. Like they've actually scored a win here to protect your Second Amendment rights. Even if you don't have, this is what I was telling you the other day, Cap, like even if you don't have a rifle with the brace, you should support this organization because they're out there doing like the grunt work of protecting your right to bear arms.
We're supporting the gun lobbies.
Right. And they're doing it in not the fake way like the NRA does, right? They're doing it in like the most pro-gun way you possibly can, the Firearms Policy Coalition. So shout out to them. It's really cool to see somebody actually doing, like the work that needs to be done in an extent.
So, so that's the FPC. And funny enough, while you were giving them their nice little advertisement, I got a notification from Truth Social. This is from Mike Davis. The FBI is now admitting it has a document evidencing then Vice President Joe Biden took a foreign bribe. So brace for an indictment soon of President Trump from Garland Special Counsel Jack Smith for obstruction. Interesting. I don't want to go in and read this whole thing now.
Not mid-episode.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's not that long, but I'm not gonna. So maybe they might be. They're listening to this show, obviously, since we're domestic terrorists, and they're like, you know what? Let's just he's right. Let's sacrifice Biden.
Yeah, again, like my overall message to people, especially conservatives, who I try to talk to a lot as the crazy libertarian anarchist guy here. I'm trying to hold you guys accountable. Don't fall for it. Like
Mm.
I'm not going to not cheer if the whole Biden crime family gets arrested and put in irons. I think it's great. But when the FBI starts turning around and being like, you see, we fixed it. Don't
Yeah,
get rid of us now.
yeah.
No, you press even harder when
I
that
think,
happens.
something that, and also I want to shout out something. We're going to continue covering this probably throughout the summer. Um, one thing I've been adamant about for a different topic here, obviously, is the Bud Light, of boycotting Bud Light and destroying Anheuser-Busch. I keep reminding people, like, there's no turning this ship around. We've made our decision. If they apologize, if they fire Dylan Mulvaney, if they fire the marketing experts, if they don't give a shit about their DEI index, whatever, which they do, and all these companies do, because BlackRock's going to pay them more than we're going to pay them for buying their products, there's no going back. That's it. Even if they make a new can with a giant jacked Arnold Schwarzenegger, some shit,
They
on
put
it,
Trump on the can.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's
Like,
no going back. It's over. We need to make one of these large corporations fall for being woke, and that will literally be a shot heard around the world to fight this ridiculous grooming agenda. And with that, Modelo, I know you're a big Modelo drinker. Our group is big on Modelo. Remember, Corona is owned by Anheuser-Busch, so fuck Corona. But Modelo is, for the first time ever, set to outpace Bud Light sales in the summer. So it is going to be a Modelo summer. That's the beer 2023. Let's go. No gay beers.
yeah, I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but it's interesting, right? Because people have been like, oh, well, Modelo is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, but not in America. It's not. It's owned by Constellation Brands. I like that even more because they must be so sour about it at InBev, about how, damn it, we own this fucking brand everywhere except for the one place where everyone wants to buy it. Right. Yeah. So that it burns them even more. I also just find it interesting from a beer drinker point of view. It's a good fucking beer, but I didn't think it was a beer. Like, it's not Bud Light. It's not the same thing. It's a summer, good tasting Mexican style beer.
Yeah.
It's not like your light, crushable frat boy beer. I mean, I like it more, to be honest with you, but it just, not only have we, had a successful boycott here of Bud Light, but people seem to have gotten a little bit more taste, right? Now the beer they've decided to replace Bud Light with is actually a classier, better tasting beer. I mean, I don't see how this is a loss at all for anyone.
Well, what I've been drinking, shout out to Half Full Brewery, which is a local brewery in Stamford, Connecticut. They have a blonde ale. It's not that crushable, but it's a great beer. I think I was going to maybe bring some over the next time. We can maybe review it. I've had it dozens of times, so I don't know if my review of it's really going to be unbiased. But you know what? Support your local beer distributors, support your local breweries. Where if you live in the Northeast, we don't need Anheuser-Busch at all. You have a million breweries within arm's reach, and they're all banging. So.
And that's
my little spiel on that.
Yeah, it's a small business. You're supporting a small business. Yeah, I'm all for it. Well, also, I ordered that right wing beer. I forgot what it's
American Dad beer, whatever.
American Dad's right wing beer. They are so overwhelmed with orders that it said that my order probably won't go into production for 30 days. Right. So I mean,
and it's been a while.
It's got to be close. We got to be getting close to the 30 days where it should go into production, and then it's going to get shipped to my house. And you bet your bottom dollar there'll be a doomed review.
Hell yeah,
of that. So keep an eye out for that one. I think, Cap, let's go into the tweets of the week, man. We got a bunch, and this will also be a topic.
Yes,
because of AOC. But go ahead.
Do you want to go through your tweets of the week? I only have one tweet that doesn't relate to AOC, or do you want to talk about AOC first, then go into the tweets?
I don't know. That's a good question, right? Like, how do we want to do it? But I think maybe let's stick to the all AOC tweets first.
So I think that's my bottom. Let me check on my side. I'm pretty sure it's all the bottom
I see which one they are. I'll choose them in the correct order. So I'm gonna I'm gonna assume you laid them out in order here.
I don't think so. I kind of was just finding them and
You got
saving
one,
them.
2, 3. You got three
Uh,
AOC press ones. I have one
oh,
too.
okay, yeah, and one's from Cheng.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was, I think this is absolutely genius. I don't know the exact terminology, but there's like some new rule on Twitter that if you say it's a parody account, you could get away with bloody murder on Twitter. And I think this is the ultimate way on this platform to directly troll members of the government. I don't care if there's a Trump one. I don't care if there's a DeSantis
There are
one.
Trump ones too.
Yeah.
That's the best part. Yeah.
So, but this got under AOC's skin. This was fantastic. So, all right. This is from a parody account. After brainstorming with my staff, I am going to push Congress to make it illegal to joke, laugh, or make fun of me. Parody should be illegal.
Yeah, the account's called AOC at AOC Press, and it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez press release, and then in parentheses parody. It's got a blue check.
Yes.
It's also using the exact same profile photo AOC uses. I'll say it is well put together. If you don't look,
Yep.
you could probably get confused. And
if you read it in, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you read it in your feed, all you see is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez P. It doesn't have press release or parody, and then the blue check marks moved over. So it looks like her account.
Right, but if you pay attention to things, and if you do your own research, as we always say, and you don't have the mindset of an AOC who wants to legislate everything, you just click and you see the full context that it's a parody account. You see that it has a blue check, not a gray check, right? A gray check now. Anyone who has a gray check is a government official, an officially sanctioned government official Twitter account, like AOC does have. She has a gray check. So if you actually do pay attention and whatnot, and you can easily figure it out. So that's the first one. Let's go on to the second one here.
These were just some of my favorites. They were tweeting all day yesterday.
Yeah.
If Elon Musk wants to have a chance with me, he'll immediately ban the parody account of me. This is literally not funny.
Oh, man. That was a good one.
I had a great day reading these yesterday. If you want to know why my account lost its blue check today, that's easy. Me and Elon Musk broke up. Thank God he made up and I got my blue check back within an hour. Big shout out to my big E. I love you, Snookums.
I wonder how many people are falling for this too.
Well, if you go back to the first one that you read, I don't know if she understands it or not, but she's like, "I'm with you, Queen."
Angela Bell.
I don't know who that is. So.
She's a shit lib, woke leftist person.
Okay, so she didn't even realize that she's in favor. So
one thing is she though, or is she also did she notice and she's trying to be funny as well?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. One thing like that it's gonna start being easier when you argue with these shit libs is the fact that most of them, they're not going to go out and admit it, but you'll be able to bait them easily that they are all for a authoritarian uniparty system.
Yeah.
Just that they truly believe that there should never be another Republican. Yeah.
Keep in mind as well, there's no room for humor in the Soviet Union.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that is well established. So I'll go to my last tweet. And this is from the woman herself, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, where she says, FYI, there's a fake account on here impersonating me and going viral. The Twitter CEO has engaged it, boosting visibility. It is releasing false policy statements and gaining spread. I am assessing with my team how to move forward. In the meantime, be careful of what you see. Now, I just want to make the point that I think it's hysterical that it's like a rare omission to an extent by AOC of what a joke she absolutely is, that people will actually take some of the crazy shit the parody account is saying and be like, oh, sounds about right.
That's why
sounds about right.
Love
I could see
this.
Yeah, I could see AOC actually saying something like,
they need to do an Adam Schiff one.
Yeah, something like that. Like when Clown World and the real world are indistinguishable, when parody and the real world are indistinguishable, you've landed in Clown World.
Yes. So look at, I mean, the lectern guy, trust me, the stuff that the parody account is saying is not more ridiculous than what comes from your mouth.
Yep. That guy's awesome. Yeah, it really is. And again, like on a deeper point here, she wants to punish the person, right? I'm assessing what my team can do, how to move forward in the meantime. I mean, like, what is she talking about? Like, maybe she's going to take some sort of legal action. Maybe she's in Congress, right? Maybe she's going to try and put forward some sort of policy thing in the future. She has proved over the course of time, like, she is not a supporter of the First Amendment. And where in the First Amendment does it say that parody is not a First Amendment protected speech?
Right.
No, it is. You could make fun of people and do parody if you want to.
There's false policy statement, just like all disinformation. Just people can't grasp, or I mean, she's in the wrong, so that's why she's combating it. But like, people can't grasp that, like, yelling fire in, how can I word this?
Fire in a crowded theater.
Yeah.
That's actually even that is a misconception. That's actually protected speech as well.
Yes.
All these liberals try to quote that to be like, well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Yeah, actually you can. If you look into the fucking court ruling, it said that you could, not that you can't.
Right. You shouldn't. And so
you shouldn't, right? It doesn't say that you can't by the Constitution.
There's this battle of, we can only speak what is true. You know what I mean? We can't. So let's talk, we like Lord of the Rings. We like Game of Thrones. So you mean to tell me we can't converse about dragons because dragons aren't real? You get what I'm saying? Like, just this fight on what truth is.
Sure. Yeah. But at the same time, like, they don't care about that.
No, they don't.
Right. And again, I think
it's not even the truth. It's been proven time and time again.
They'll actually use examples like you just used to be like, well, no, you do have your freedom of speech. Like, if you want to talk about stuff like that, you can. Freedom of speech in the First Amendment is meaningless if we only talk about things that we either agree upon or things that don't matter. It only has value in things that matter or things that we might disagree with someone else on. If we're going to talk about dragons and Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings or whatever, who gives a fuck? Right? Like, it doesn't impact society really in any way whatsoever.
Doesn't drain the swamp.
The government is not interested in our speech around Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. They're interested in our speech around Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the type of policy she puts forward, right? That's where they'll criminalize speech or try to, like, restrict or limit whatever it is you're saying, because you're saying something that they don't like. And that's exactly what the First Amendment is for. It's not for fucking Jon Snow. It's for AOC.
Yeah. And I like what you said. It's showing of what type of joke she is, that a parody account could immediately be, believe that it's her actual account.
The account reminds me of Alex Stein and what he's trying to do, which is just be outrageous and stupid and trigger people with, like, culture jamming stuff to just expose, like, how they react to things and where their mindset really is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I got tweets of the week as well. I got a couple of really good ones here. Let's go with my first one. This is a rando. I try not to swing down, but we're swinging down here today. Although I don't know. Is Valerie Bertinelli? She might actually she sounds popular. Who's Valerie Bertinelli? No, she's popular. She's got 500,000 followers. I guess she's an actress or something. I don't even know. But anyway, so Valerie Bertinelli, she goes, in super simplistic terms, the debt ceiling is like your credit card bill coming at the end of the month, and the Republicans who helped run up that bill, tax breaks for billionaires, example, no revenue, now want to not pay the nation's credit card bill and blame Democrats for it. Oh my God. Like, this is what we're dealing with here. Probably the way most of society thinks about, like, the debt ceiling. She says that the debt ceiling is like your credit card bill coming due at the end of the month, and Republicans who helped run up that bill now want to not pay the nation's credit card bill and blame
still have to get paid.
This couldn't, I responded to this in the time, right? I'm like, this could not be more wrong. The debt ceiling is like you maxing out your credit card, and instead of tightening your budget and attempting to pay back the balance you owe, you ask for a limit increase. That's what the debt limit. They're not paying anything back. They're literally like, fuck, we've hit our credit score limit or whatever it is, your credit card limit. You then submit a request to the credit card agency. Can you raise my limit because I don't have any more money to spend on my credit limit? I need more limit. That's what the debt ceiling is.
The
It's
government
not,
just doesn't want to live on a budget when every American needs to live
yeah,
on a budget.
exactly.
And they're mad at billionaires and millionaires because they don't have to live on a budget.
Also, just the way they look at it, right? Like it's their money, it's not your money. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to like defend billionaires here, but they consider tax breaks spending, right? Like they consider if you allow people to keep their money and not steal as much of it, that it's spending. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If whatever, let's say the
So
libertarian
people are
president,
actually championing the
pay
government
taxes, pay taxes so that the government has money to spend. Like, let's say you get, like, by that same logic, let's forget about even the taxes bill. Let's say you get your perfect libertarian president and he just abolishes the federal income tax. The Democrats would be like, how are, like, that's gonna, we're never gonna be able to pay back the budget now, the spending now, because we're not collecting any taxes. They see tax cuts as spending instead of spending as spending. They're not, and all it is like you get to keep your money. They see that as spending in a sense, where, and they don't see their own spending, their government spending as spending, where the answer here is just don't tax anybody and stop spending so much fucking money. And we won't have all these debt ceiling problems.
Stop sending money all around the world.
That too. Right. All right. You let's actually go on. You have a couple.
Yeah, I got two of them. I think the first and like the fourth. Dallas sports fan pay. Oh, okay. So if you scroll up, I think you might see what this was a reply to Joe Biden. Earlier this evening, Speaker McCarthy and I reached a budget agreement in principle. It is important step forward that reduces spending while protecting critical programs for working people and growing the economy for everyone. It goes on, blah, 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 blah. This guy, Dallas sports fan, pay off my student loans, ban the Second Amendment, and arrest all those who oppose us. It's time to make America a better place. Boy, what a dictator you are. Jesus Christ. Thank God you're not in charge of anything.
Yeah. He, him.
Yeah, cry about it.
I'm going to point back to the original tweet here again, just to make my point again. It's important step forward that reduces spending while protecting critical programs. They're saying that raising the debt ceiling reduces spending.
Spending more money.
Right, like spending more money reduces spending somehow. Again, like this is the same logic that Valerie Bertinelli was just using, and this is the president of the United States also using the same logic. This did happen. Now McCarthy has caved basically, and they have an agreement, I think, in principle to raising the debt ceiling. And like if you look at it all said and done, it essentially makes room for $4 trillion more of debt, and they're somehow calling. And I think the rationale, the reasoning that they're saying it's cutting spending is because I think they were projected to have like $6 trillion of debt in the next 3 years, but instead now they've slashed that down to $4 trillion of future debt added on top of the debt we already have. And they're calling that a cut to spending. So they're like, okay, well, you see, now we're only going to spend $4 trillion that we don't have instead of $6 trillion that we don't have. You see, we cut spending instead of just not spending the $4 trillion.
Amazing. I think it's been something like the past like 78 times in a row, they've decided to increase the debt ceiling.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man. All right. Let's all right. So this is an interesting. Well, this is probably I found this to be one of the most interesting tweets of the week. And this one is from the omni-liberal Destiny. If you're not familiar with Destiny, he is a leftist political personality, one of the few people who has the balls to actually debate people on the right and libertarians. He's been on Tim Pool's show many times debating him. He's debated Clint Russell on Ukraine and things like that. So I actually respect Destiny to some extent because he actually tries to back things up from his leftist point of view.
I actually saw this tweet, not even through what you saved.
So let that be, your foundation for who Destiny is. He is a lefty, right? Through and through. He says, I'm sorry, but it's honestly just fucking weird. If my son was gay or whatever, I'd be all for it. But dressing kids up in LGBT gear is making their bodies battlegrounds for social issues that they are totally clueless about. There's a difference between being gay and advertising social issues via clothing. I support Ukraine, but I'm not about to send my kid to school dressed up in blue and yellow. His body isn't a billboard for my societal beliefs, social beliefs. And what are they talking about? They're talking about the clothing and
Target
Target
and stuff.
and
And now
whatnot. That
Kohl's.
J. Crew
Mm-hmm.
are printing, because Pride Month's coming up, clothing for children that says like LGBTQ on it or whatever. Kids are not, it's not for kids, man.
Nope.
This is the argument. Even
This
Destiny, the omni liberal, understands that. That
yeah.
is interesting. That
At the end of the day, and I think moving forward, we need to focus more on forget the corporations that are going woke. They're doing that for money. So if you're a corporation, you're in it for money. You're corrupt to begin with. You're here for money. But we need to start focusing on the parents who are pushing this agenda on their kids. I spent a lot of time with one of our friends' childs this weekend. Kid's only one. Your daughter's only one. We have another friend whose son is going to be turning 2 within the next few months. Just looking at these kids and they're still exploring the world and stuff. There's no way in the next 5-6 years that any of these children are real, unless like it's drilled into their head of like what gay is or what being trans is. There's no way these kids are going to wake up without an outside force and go, I'm gay. Can they become gay? Can they, are they going to grow it? Very well possibility. We have no problem.
I'd say.
Yes, organically, very possible that they grow up and make their decision and say, yeah, I'm gay, which is more than fine. But without this is a type of grooming. Without all this going on, they don't know what the hell the problem or the issue is. They're just, your daughter doesn't choose what shirts and what clothing she wears,
right.
Correct? So if you're the parent and you're doing this to them, if you're doing this to them, this is why all of a sudden a 6-year-old thinks he's a transgender because of bad parents.
Right. It's grooming, right? That's what it is. I'll give you a personal anecdote. It was Memorial Day weekend. Over the weekend, I went to the Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut. It's a wonderful place. It's great. I love it. Great for the kids. So there was a lot of kids there. And I saw a kid. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. So he or she looked more like a boy, a little chunky, looked a little bit odd, like probably an oddball at school or something like that, at least by the standards when I was at school. Looked like this kid was maybe 10 years old. And the kid was wearing a shirt that said, "You know the deal." And "you know the deal" was in the rainbow flag, and like the words were like in the rainbow flag down to the trans flag from top to bottom. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, the fuck is that supposed to mean? This kid's like 10. I'm not even sure what gender.
You're 34 and you don't know the deal.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like this kid is wearing is 10, wearing a shirt with the LGBT, with that flag that I have on the screen there on it, and it says, "You know the deal." Like, what is that supposed to mean? Why is this kid wearing that? I don't know. Like, shit, man. Imagine if when I was 10, if my mom bought me a shirt that said, "You know the deal," and in the words, like in the background, was a picture of a girl with like tits or something. Wouldn't you think people would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this with these parents?" All right, like kids should not be sexualized. They should not have this stuff pushed onto them. Let them develop organically, and then you accept them from whatever it is they truly are. Don't turn them into it. It's also just fucking weird for adults to be doing kids this. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, right? Be mean. It's fucking weird, and you're a groomer. What do we got left? You got
I got a Cenk one.
Can't have a tweets of the week without Cenk.
Yeah. All right. And now Biden has been asked, and he didn't even give us. Oh, yeah, this was such a crybaby moment. And now Biden has been asked, and he didn't even give a straight answer when he was asked if he would pardon Trump, a question most people on here found to be a no-brainer. He did not say no. He didn't answer the question. I told you he'd consider it. That's who he is.
So for context too, like Biden was asked this. A couple people were asked this. Even Ron DeSantis was asked this, and Ron DeSantis did say that he would pardon Trump if he were president. But to counter Cenk's point here, I saw a lot of the other shit libs were saying how Biden gave a great answer because he kind of like laughed it off about how pathetic it is. But you see how just there's also, I don't even know. Like for some of them, it was good. For Cenk, it's not good enough.
It just, I mean, That's true Trump derangement syndrome, to be lambasting your own Lord and Savior, because that's what he is to these people. That like he didn't give a strong enough answer because they just need Trump behind bars. It doesn't matter. We could go to the nuclear war with Russia. It doesn't fucking matter. Put Trump behind bars.
I think this
blow me into space dust, but as long as he's behind bars, I will float through the universe with a smile on.
Now that I'm thinking, it actually shows some dissent in the shit lib ranks. Like I think Cenk is so militantly anti-Trump, he'll burn anyone. Like Cenk won't blindly support Joe Biden just because he's not Donald Trump. Like Cenk hates Trump so much. If anyone's not willing to hang Trump, then you're his enemy. And
you're the bad guy.
Whereas like Joe from Jers thought that but Biden's response was funny because she likes Biden and she went to the White House and she's basically a paid propagandist of him, and he kind of like laughed it off. So it's interesting to see that kind of divide. There is a little bit of dissent amongst the ranks of the shit libs. What are you gonna say?
And that's all. No, you're good. That's all.
I got one more by Cernovich. And Cernovich says Stalin sent political prisoners to gulags after a show trial before regime stooges. The usual bid was 5 to 10 years. Stuart Rhodes got 18 years, and he'll probably be tuned up in a level 5 Supermax when no one is looking. We saw the Soviet Union as monstrous. Here we are now. What's he talking about? He's talking about Stuart Rhodes, the founder, I guess, the leader of the Oath Keepers. Alan and James just had him on their show last week. I listened to it. It was interesting. He got sentenced to 18 years in prison for his role in the January 6th insurrection, right? Where he never actually stepped foot on the property in any way whatsoever. And as someone who is currently myself, like in the process of like studying a lot about the Soviet Union, so I find it interesting historically. Yeah. Even Stalin, they called it tenors, right? He gave people tenors. If you were like an opponent of the regime, they gave you a tenor. They threw you in fucking jail for 10 years in the gulag, most people. It wasn't for like a short period of time that Stalin, they went towards his death when he was really going crazy. They upped it to 25 years. So not 100% true. Stalin did go full throttle at one point. They give people 25 years in prison for saying something bad about the Communist Party. But for the most part, you got a 5 to 10 bid in the gulag, whereas now you're getting 18 in the United States for, expressing your First Amendment right.
The FBI is above board, everybody.
Yeah. Again, man, that's also why it's so important to oppose the FBI. Like we don't need like the blueprint for another KGB here in America, which essentially is what the FBI is.
What we have.
They're not to that level yet. They're not to Stalin's level yet. They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad, but, but they're not to that level yet. But I don't think we should have them because I don't want them to go further and get to that level.
I think they're only not at that level yet is because they didn't get to that fuck it, we're the bad guy moment yet that we were talking about earlier.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They just changed.
I think they're fully prepared to get to that level. If they could do it today, I believe they would. I believe they absolutely would.
Like in Captain America, where Hydra just comes out as Hydra finally.
Yeah. That's basically what the government really is. Okay. The second Captain America movie is pretty spot on to what we're seeing today.
Yep. All right, man. I think we'll wrap it up here. We've been going for a minute.
Yes, sir.
We'll have to save the Epstein stuff for another time.
Yes,
as
sir.
we were saying before, don't forget we got a lot of stuff coming up. So like, share, and subscribe. Keep watching everything, and we'll be back.
All right, Doom Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode. Adios. See you guys next time.